Of course, we're looking there live at former President Trump handing out hats. He also brought pallets of Trump water to East Palestine, Ohio, where he spoke just a little while ago, again, letting the residents know that they are not forgotten. Joining us now to continue the conversation, political analyst Mark Halperin and former special assistant to President Trump, Mark Lauder. Mark, let's start with you.
Which Mark?
Oh, that was a really good question.
K or a C?
Mark with a C. That would be Mark Lauder. My husband is Mark with a C also. Mark Lauder, your reaction to the former president's visit and specifically what he said during his brief speech?
Well, I think it's important for the people of East Palestine to know that they aren't forgotten, and that's not evident from what we see going on in the current administration. You know, I see it was reported this afternoon that Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is going there tomorrow, the next day, nearly 3 weeks after the initial derailment. And, you know, having worked in the Trump White House, I can tell you for a fact that it probably would have taken the Secret Service to keep, the vice president away, because we were usually the first on the scene after the initial incidents, and the president. But if neither of those two could have gone, you definitely would have had a phone call from the White House to the Transportation Secretary saying, get there yesterday. I mean, why did it take so long for this administration? It just goes to show you with about everything they do, they're leading from behind.
Yeah, this is, we're looking at the president live. Let me know if we can hear what he's saying. Okay, let's listen to it.
And they're responsible for destroying, they are destroying, systematically destroying our country. He knows better than anybody. But they're systematically destroying our country, and it's a shame. And Buttigieg should have been here already.
And what do you think about railway safety?
Here's some more hats, kids.
Excuse me.
All right, the president continuing his visit. Mark with the K, Halperin. Mark, you know, kind of, I don't know who arranged this visit, but it seems to have been pretty well laid out politically, because he came in, did some serious discussions with people to get an update. He had briefings, gave his speech, and now obviously more in a campaign mode talking to these people. So this clearly a big win for the president politically. I don't want to take away the impact of what these people are going through, but when you're talking politics, it seems to be well choreographed.
It was arranged by the ghost of Michael Deaver because this was very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
For those who don't know, somebody who worked with Ronald Reagan, who was also a master at timing and putting on a good show at the right time.
Yeah, look, it's not just a photo op benefiting Donald Trump politically. As he said, it's putting a spotlight on people who feel the federal government, controlled by Democrats, haven't done what they want. One thing we haven't mentioned so far is the fact that Ohio used to be a purple state. It's become a very red state, driven by communities like this. The rural parts of the state now not only are overwhelmingly for the Republicans, but they turn out to vote in great numbers, in part because of what Donald Trump has done since 2015 in engaging these communities. And what he did today was more of that. Again, there'll be discussions about regulation of railroads and where the parties stand on that. Again, there'll be discussions of political opportunism. But I have to tell you, for the Trump folks who have watched Ron DeSantis dominate photo op politics now for a long time, this is something that will give them some shot in the arm, knowing that their guy, who used to be pretty good at this and had the field kind of to himself, knows how to engage. And unlike Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump doesn't have a day job. And so he can look for opportunities like this if he wishes to, which is, again, politically potent in the context of a presidential campaign.
Yeah, and Mark with the C, you are a former special assistant to President Trump. And to Mark with the K's point regarding the fact that the former president now, you know, he has an airplane, he has the means, he has the time to do things like this. Do you think that we will see him visiting more places in the United States who frankly might feel ignored by our current administration rather than just doing a typical campaign visit?
Yeah, I think that'll be part of the strategy, not only for the former president, but for all of the people who are going to be getting into the race. You know, there are great swaths of people out there, whether they are in blue-collar manufacturing facilities, whether they are parents who feel like they are not being heard, listened to, or respected dealing with their children's schools. There are the farming and ranching communities, that are feeling overlooked by the current politics. And so I think the one thing that we know to be true, whomever gets the nomination, they're all going to be running on the Trump policies or the Trump legacy. They'll put their own spin, their own smile on it, and use their own voices. But whether it's in New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, and in other parts of the country, that's what you're going to see for the next year, is all of these folks, including Donald Trump, going to these communities, talking about how they need to step up, have their voices heard, bring friends with you, and make sure that we can take back our government and get back to those policies that worked.
Yeah, and I think, Mark Halperin, you could say this visit definitely a win for Mr. Trump against President Biden, and maybe back against Governor DeSantis, who still is in a prominent position with a state which he has executive power over, and things can happen there where he can still act like an executive.
Who hasn't gone there? George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. Who else hasn't gone there? Any other presidential candidate? Remember, it's not just the plane and the wealth that allows Donald, and the lack of a job. He's also got Secret Service protection. That makes trips like this easier. Because he's got a presidential campaign up and running, he has an advanced staff, many of them folks who worked on White House Advance. And part of Donald Trump's advantage against Ron DeSantis, against the others, is he's got a battleship. He's got a very experienced team, probably the most experienced team he's ever had running any of his 3 presidential campaigns. It would be daunting if you were Nikki Haley or Tim Scott or even Ron DeSantis to go into this environment. It's not daunting for Donald institutionally. It's not daunting for the Trump operation. And that is an advantage I think you'll see, including in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina.
All right, Mark Halperin, Mark Lauder with a K and a C. We appreciate your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.